Question 15 on the National Hot Dog Quiz.
Oh, no, not this again.
We only got 5 more. This is the end. We only got 5 more. All right. The first one's true or false. It's easy.
I don't. This isn't exactly the arc I wanted in this podcast.
I think you mentioned on the other one. I could be wrong because it's been a month since the last one. I believe you mentioned on there that you hated doing food for them, so I made a mental note to start the next podcast with food. Because you talked about how much
I said I hated doing what?
Like starting the podcast with a food topic as the intro.
Oh, no, I think I mentioned how it's always food we start with.
Well, there we go.
I mean, I'm not complaining. I mean, I like food as much as the next guy.
All right. True or false? Hot dogs were one of the first foods eaten on the moon.
False?
Let's try it out. And true. Oh, we got it wrong.
Well, okay, so when you say one of the first foods, it could literally be any of the foods they took to the moon ever.
It says Apollo 11 astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin Jr. ate hot dogs on their 1969 journey. Okay, so they just happened to have hot dogs when they were up there. I'm not sure that
They were
counts.
probably like freeze-dried and nasty.
Yeah. Which United States president served Queen Elizabeth and King George IV hot dogs at a state dinner? Okay, Queen Elizabeth, so it was probably... who was during Queen Elizabeth's... I mean, Queen Elizabeth is still alive. That's going to be either John F. Kennedy, probably Reagan, probably not FDR. I'm going to go with John F. Kennedy. He seems like the kind of... Like, I could see John F. Kennedy serving me a hot dog. Are you okay with that one? Sorry, the choices are John F. Kennedy, FDR, Ronald Reagan, or Calvin Coolidge. I forgot I think
I'm okay with that one.
John F. Kennedy? Okay.
Yeah, that seems like the most likely.
No! It was Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Oh, really?
For the first time since America was a British colony, British monarchs stepped on U.S. soil for a state dinner on June 11th, 1939. To celebrate the occasion, FDR served the royals a dinner of hot dogs and beer in the White House garden. Darn it.
Hot dogs and beer, huh?
I love it. I love it.
What a dinner.
FDR seems awesome. Okay. 17. What popular TV show character said, "I just want to lie on the beach and eat hot dogs. That's all I ever wanted"? We've got, actually, I'm just going to go with the shows. Well, now I'll do the whole thing. Liz Lemon from 30 Rock, Buster Bluth from Arrested Development. I don't think you've seen any of these shows. Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, or Kevin Malone from The Office. Okay, have you seen any of the shows I just listed?
Yes.
Have you?
We've literally watched The Office together, and I've definitely seen an episode of The Big Bang Theory.
Okay, hold on. So these shows, I don't think anyone in the community would be okay with you saying I've watched them if you've only seen like 2 or 3 episodes. These shows have a weird cult following.
Will you act like I don't even know what they are to begin with?
I get that.
I know exactly what all those shows are.
I know.
And how
I
they're
know.
Structured.
I said it wrong. I'm sorry. But it's weird because...
I'm offended.
These shows in particular, they're not like... I don't know. What's a show where you can just like pick up an episode? Like Rick and Morty. If you've seen an episode of Rick and Morty, you can say, I've watched Rick and Morty. I don't think you can do that with The Office. The Office people are weird. That's a whole... It's like a whole cult.
I would kind of say you could, though.
I know, but you're not one of The Office people. You're not one of them crazies. They get really into The Office, man. Like, they just...
Yeah, I know. I've seen.
Yeah, they code it constantly. It's just strange. Okay, sorry. I just want to lie on the beach and eat hot dogs all I ever wanted. I'm going to say that's Liz Lemon from 30 Rock. I'm going to go ahead and take the helm on this one. It was Kevin Malone in The Office. I should have known that one. Kevin Malone was desperate for hot dogs during The Office's episode Beach Games. Hunger struck when Michael Scott, the obnoxious boss, made the employees endure painstakingly long competition before allowing them to eat. That's too bad. Okay, 2 more. 2 more. Well, actually 3 more. 18, 19, and 20. Which actress says she eats a hot dog every day for lunch and says it is the secret to her longevity?
What?
Joan Rivers.
Who says that?
Meryl Streep? Nobody, but apparently one of these people does. Florence Henderson or Betty White? God, I hope it's Betty White.
Yeah, let's go with Betty White.
Oh, man, I really want it to be Betty White. Yes, it is Betty White! Woo! Betty White eats a hot dog and chips for lunch every day on the set of Hot in Cleveland, and she says it's the secret to her longevity. Oh, I love it.
My goodness.
All right.
Apparently I need to be more like her.
God, I love Betty White. Everyone should be more like Betty White. Hold on. Okay. Which baseball team was projected to sell a record 3 million hot dogs in the 2014 baseball season? Okay, I don't really like this question, but our answers are possibly Boston Red Sox, LA Dodgers, New York Yankees, or Texas Rangers. I feel like I'm biased because I know like the Dodger dog.
New York, maybe?
Yeah, but is there like a Yankee dog? Like that doesn't sound as iconic as the Dodger dog. Because I know about Dodger dogs, but I don't know. I'll go Yankees. What do we got? Oh, it was the LA Dodgers. Okay, LA Dodgers.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, predicted they would sell.
Just because it's an alliteration, means they get an upper hand, apparently.
Dodge Dog, man. It's the name. All right, the last question. Now, before I ask this, I think we should think back on the great memories we had with the other 15 questions over the past... How long has it been?
I can't remember any of the other questions, I hope you realize.
I think there was one question about like Mickey Mouse talking about hot dogs once or something. When did we start this? That must have been like, 6 months ago? That was probably before quarantine, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
That was a while.
Probably about that time.
That's a whole lifetime ago. My goodness.
Tim, I just want to move on.
Okay.
You're really dragging this out.
I know. All right. I just like to make you squirm. Which popular children's TV show closes each episode with the song Hot Dog? Phineas and Ferb, SpongeBob SquarePants, Dora the Explorer, or Mickey Mouse Clubhouse? Now, I think...
it's either Phineas and Ferb
or Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, right?
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I'm going to go Phineas and Ferb.
I really hope it's Phineas and Ferb. It really should be.
It's not Dora the Explorer, and it's not... Well, maybe it is SpongeBob. I don't know.
Jacob?
No.
Jacob, we got it wrong. It was Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Oh.
Features the song Hot Dog, which echoes Mickey's first spoken word in the 1929 short, The Carnival Kid. That was the first question, wasn't it? Oh my god.
Oh, we've come full circle.
Woo! Oh, I love it. All right. What are we doing? We're doing a podcast? I just wanted to read hot dog questions.
I mean, I want to go eat a hot dog now.
Yeah, we can go now. I have a question for you. What is wiki.local? You got this as a topic on here. I've been curious for a while.
Oh, well, actually, real quick, while we're still on the topic of food, I have a word on here, bowls.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to know about that one, too.
This is related to food.
Okay.
And
related to bowls, more specifically.
Yes, and food inside bowls.
Okay.
So I've gotten into the habit of just about everything I eat nowadays is in a bowl. So it doesn't matter if we're having like baked potatoes and steak. I, put all my toppings into a bowl for the potatoes. I put the potato in there. I cut up the steak and I put it all in the bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. If we have like salmon and we have rice and vegetables, I'll put it all in one big bowl. And my dad commented on it and about how I just never use plates anymore unless it's for like a sandwich or hot dogs or something. And I'm curious, how does that make you feel, knowing I just mix all that food up together into one big amalgam mash?
What? Okay,
amalgamation?
You make it sound like you're sticking it all in the bowl and just like mixing it around with a spoon or a fork or something until it's all homogeneous. Is that what you're doing? That's not what you're doing, is it?
I don't. So for example, the potatoes and vegetables and steak option.
Yeah.
Usually what I do is I start with the potato, and then I put the broccoli on top, and then the vegetable, and then this cut up steak on top.
Okay.
And I don't mix it after that, but I mean, there's usually still like steak left by the end because I'm like trying to eat it all as evenly as possible.
I don't want to give away my answer for this. Okay, whatever. My answer is I think it's totally normal. I think that's like a perfectly reasonable to eat most of the time, or a perfectly reasonable way to eat most of the time. Especially with your lifestyle, because I'm assuming most of your meals are probably at your desk. Is that correct?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
and I really like the convenience too of having a bowl.
It makes
it feels
sense.
more safe, and it's just I don't know. It feels nicer to carry. It feels very comforting just having a bowl of everything, as opposed to like a plate where I have to like go from one section of the plate to another, and I don't know.
See, I think it has to do with how you would enjoy eating food, and you're like me because I enjoy when all of the flavors start complementing one another, because that's why I'm eating a meal together. Like that's why I'm doing it. Those weird people that don't like when their foods touch, I don't think they would agree with us very much.
That's true, actually. I'm literally eating my food the exact opposite way of...
Exactly.
It's like their worst nightmare.
I don't get why people prefer plate. Like, now that I think about it, I'm like, I don't get plates at all. Like, well, actually, that's not true. Like, if you're trying to cut up a big piece of meat or something, it makes sense. But beyond that, it's so much more comfortable in a bowl. You know what's funny? Here, I've got something weird to tell you about it. So I ate from a bowl last night. So I made Buddha bowls last night. I made very good Buddha bowls.
Oh.
Do you like those? I made them for you
Those
once.
are delicious.
Okay, cool.
My sister makes really good ones with a really nice peanut sauce.
Oh, nice. I do it with a carrot ginger sauce that I'm a big fan of. Like I build it myself, and
Have you had the peanut sauce before?
I have, not on Bootables. I haven't made it before. I usually have that on spring rolls. That's usually what I'm familiar with it from.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Okay.
I love it.
Anyways, I made these last night. I actually got really into it. I went to the store with Emily to go buy the ingredients, and then after we came home, I took an hour to make dinner. And then when I finished, because it took so long to shop, but like we went out to do some errands, and then we shopped, and then I came home to make it. And I was enjoying it so much, I didn't realize we didn't start eating until 8:30 at night. But we went out to go to the store originally at like 5 p.m. It was just this funny thing. Yeah, it was just... But I was enjoying it so much, and Emily just went nuts for this food. She ate more than me, which is saying something. Like,
that's impressive.
Yeah, she couldn't move afterwards. She just laid there. It was great. She absolutely loves these things. Anyways, I ran into this funny thing with her because we ate from bowls because they're Buddha bowls. Like, that's how you build them and everything. But I eat them from the bottom up, and I just realized I did that last night. And
what do you mean the bottom up?
So,
do you mean physically... The bottom up, you start at the bottom of the bowl, or do you put the ingredients in like upside down or something? So
Buddha bowls, as you probably remember, are usually fairly dense because it's a lot of vegetables. So it's you pack in the lettuce and everything and the cabbage.
Yeah.
But I make mine so dense that what I do is I take my fork and I kind of push like everything out of the way from a small corner of the bowl, and then I eat what's in the bottom of the bowl, and I just keep working my way around the bottom until I've gotten everything on the very bottom. And then I kind of start moving up through the layers, and I always end with the meat on top. And I just started noticing.
Oh, that's weird,
right?
Because like I was just talking, I like to keep everything as even as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end, since the rice is usually on the bottom, I like to still have a good a ratio of rice to toppings and meat on top and all that. So I find that really surprising.
Right. I think it comes
very interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you have room in your bowl to move everything to the side so you can get to the bottom? Because usually my bowl is so full, I'm like struggling to even keep the toppings in it.
So I usually don't have enough room, and I was going to bring that up as a possible counterpoint to this whole bowls instead of plates argument. Because it's very difficult to maneuver inside of bowls, and something's gonna drop on the floor. Like, it won't be a lot. It'll probably, I don't know. It'll just be less. Or
depending on how big the bowl is.
There will be a certain amount that will hit the ground or the floor or the desk at some point.
Yeah, you guys definitely have very small bowls. We have a couple really big bowls that I love using. Some nice heavy porcelain bowls that are just fantastic.
Yeah, it was my mom that picked them out, and I'm like, I don't get why you bought these. They're I don't know. What I end up doing is I actually, especially for last night, I pulled out a Tupperware. And I was eating out of the Tupperware because it fit. That was the only bowl big enough.
Works better.
Yeah. What did I want to mention? Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I had this weird thing where I would I always ate my vegetables first as a kid, which I think is a weird thing for a kid to do. But
no, I actually do that too.
Oh really?
Yeah, because oftentimes it was my least favorite part, and so you always eat the least favorite part.
Thank you. Yeah, you want to get it over with.
Yeah, that's exactly how you eat food.
Exactly. That's why I go from the bottom up in the bowls, because I want the stuff that I want the least, because I'm looking forward to the meat. I'm there for the meat.
Then have you ever tried just putting the ingredients in upside down?
No, because then it's not as pretty. No, you don't understand.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's gotta be this way. Otherwise, it's not a bootable. That's just like a weird thing with lettuce on the bottom. That's not good.
No, it's just like a pineapple upside down cake. It's a cake, but it's just upside down.
I should start flipping pineapple upside down cakes right side up when I eat them. I think that'd be a fun thing to do.
Isn't that sacrilege or something?
Hold on? Can I Google pineapple right side up cake? Is that a thing? Do people like cook them upside down and then just flip them? That's got to be a thing.
Well, isn't the whole point that you put the pineapple on the bottom and flip it so it's on the top?
Look at that pineapple right side up cake. Huh. Yeah, that's usually the reason too, which is why it's a ridiculous idea to flip it backwards. But again, if we're trying to eat the worst part first and then get down to the pineapple at the bottom that you're really looking forward to.
Oh, really? I would actually say in a pineapple upside down cake, if you have like the giant rings at the bottom or the top, I'd say those are the worst. The cake is usually the better part.
You need to eat different cakes. Pineapple upside down cake is clearly not for you. It sounds like.
Clearly. I just like my cake.
Just want the cake. Have you ever had a paradise chiffon cake?
Nope.
Oh man, I gotta make one for you later. It is my absolute favorite cake. It's just wonderful. So what it is it's a I don't know how to type this correctly. I'm trying to.
It's just so good you don't even know how to describe it.
Well, I typed in paradise chiffon, and I'm getting a whole bunch of dresses popping up on my screen. This was not the right way to spell it. Wait, can I just put in chiffon cake afterwards? Paradise sponge cake. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I'll make it for you later. But what it is, it's basically it's a 3-layer cake where each layer is flavored after a different exotic fruit. So you're gonna do like a guava and a pineapple and a mango. It's usually like pineapple and like kiwi and mango. But anyways, you do
Really?
Yeah, and in between each of those is just a layer of whipped cream, and then on the top it's another layer of whipped cream. It's just
Whipped cream, really?
yes. Oh man.
I don't think I'm gonna like it as much as you think I am.
What? You're an icing person?
I like my icing. I like my rich icing.
What?
I think like cream cheese or something.
Okay,
which doesn't
all right,
typically go on. It's not as common on cake, but
That's fair.
the whipped cream now. And also, I'm not sure I'm quite sold on the fruit part.
All right.
I'm a little more traditional when it comes to my cake.
I get it. I really like my fruit.
How do you like carrot cake actually though?
It's not terrible. It's not my I wouldn't out of all the cakes, that's not the prettiest girl in the ball. But I'll throw her a bone every once in a while. You know,
Ooh.
have some carrot cake.
Well, at least you're better than me because I would never even look that
Not even
way.
touching that thing. Get those nuts out of here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, too healthy.
Stupid nuts.
Yeah, what a strange thing though to put in a cake. Yeah, carrots.
I think you know
Okay.
what's weird. I thought it was weird until I realized what red velvet cake was, and after I learned that, I thought it was way less weird. Do you know what red velvet is normally?
I want to say I've heard it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
It's beet juice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, I think I heard that once.
Mhm. Like
Yeah, I mean, it almost seems like it's more of just a dye then at that point, though, rather than flavor.
yeah. I think a little bit of it lends itself to it because beets have a very distinct. I don't know. We've been talking about this for a while.
Well, the nice thing though about red velvet cake though
Yeah.
is that it's way less sweet too.
Yeah, it is really nice. It's hard not to like red velvet cake, and that's the reason I started liking carrot cake. Not maybe like is a strong word. I'm more okay with carrot cake.
I think usually people when they make carrot cake make the cinnamon part too strong.
Mm-hmm. I gotta turn that down. Sorry.
Oh man, now I want cake. Let's move on.
Cake will be really good.
I don't want to talk about cake anymore. I want cake.
All right. There's your bowl's topic.
And if I want cake, then I want ice cream.
Let him eat cake. Oh, ice cream will be good. We got to do an ice cream podcast starter next time. Maybe I'll put a note in for that.
Problem is I don't eat ice cream very often because I eat it so fast and so much. Like I am stuffing the bowl to the brim if we have ice cream.
I used to do that before I realized that I actually don't like ice cream that much, and I just finish off whatever's in my bowl. So I was like, if I just put a quarter of this in here, then I don't have as much.
I can't even comprehend that.
Not enjoying ice cream.
I'm like it's my favorite dessert. I cannot get enough ice cream when I'm eating ice cream.
This goes back to the paradise cake thing. Like it's sugar for sugar's sake is not my favorite thing. I just like I like fruits and I like dark chocolate. But in ice cream form, it's a little too sweet for me. I'm just not I'm not as much of a sweets guy.
Yep. Yeah. Can't understand that.
That's crazy.
Exact opposite of me.
Okay, so I really do want to know about this wiki.local thing that you put on here. What on earth is this?
So one of the things I realized when I'm doing a lot of work, so I have my VPS, so I have to do remote work on a server. I have my local file server. I have my desktop. So all these different things I do stuff to, they all have slightly different ways of working, and I have to remember like changes I make to the system, different configuration settings. Mm-hmm. And so what I realized is, I can totally just host like my own Wikipedia basically, because there's tons of different open source implementations of it that you can just basically copy and paste and it just works.
Wait, what are you doing?
So I have my own basically locally hosted Wikipedia that I can add to for different things I do.
Huh.
So if I make a configuration setting for like obscure, like it's a one-off thing that I'm never going to remember I did unless I write it down. And it's perfect because, so one of the things I needed to do in order to, because wiki.local is what I actually type into my browser to get it to work.
Mm-hmm.
Local is not usually something you can go to. And it's local anyway, so I don't want it to I'm not looking on the internet for it.
Yeah.
So I had to type in some obscure command for port forwarding into Windows and yada, yada, yada. But I'm never going to remember that, port 57 is forwarded to port 39 unless I write it down. And so I just hey, here's the command I used. And now it's saved and I can refer to it, and I can, have obviously my links. I can take notes in there kind of.
Huh.
I can keep a list of here's all the versions of the libraries I'm using for this project I'm working on. And here's the steps I took to install all this stuff. So it is a lot of overhead in order to keep track of what you're doing, but it's already been really, really helpful.
So why keep it on a server? Why not just have that as a Word document on your computer? Because I could see myself doing that, but just in a Word document.
Well, that's the thing, though, is it's a Wikipedia, and I can have links, and I can... so
you hyperlink it?
Yeah. You can click on a link, and it goes to another page on Wikipedia, because I'm oh, okay, here's my desktop. And if I need to link to, another part of a page, I can just put a link in.
I want to see that later. I'm curious as to how much work you've put into this thing, because that sounds like you've put effort into this. Whereas I would be super lazy with something like that.
Well, that's the thing though is I can't really afford to be lazy on it because there's been so many times where I come back to a project that I deployed a year ago, and I'm okay, I have to actually look and think about what port is this running on? Is this in the firewall or not?
Yeah, none of it makes sense anymore.
And what command? And one of the things is tons of different commands for starting up things. I need to start the right. Is it Python? Is it Java? Where are the config files for all these different things? So, it's been super nice.
How does your code normally look? When you're coding, do you end up putting a lot of notes in your code to make sure you have everything very well curated, or is the whole thing just blah, here it is?
Oh, no, I absolutely spend time commenting it, especially if it's more of a one-off script. Because I haven't done a lot of big projects, but I do like to code a lot, or comment a lot, just because it just makes coming back to it in a year so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for those small scripts. I have that one that randomizes a bunch of albums into a playlist. And that's a few hundred lines because I have command line options and stuff, so it's a little more user friendly. But it's pretty it's pretty hard to wrap your head around if you're just coming into it out of nowhere, because you're gonna forget exactly what variables do what, especially if they're used throughout the whole script and such, or what this for loop does. So definitely high level overviews in comment form are really, really helpful.
Nice.
But this isn't more so for coding. It's just more so so I can see what I did for system configuration.
Yeah. I wish it wasn't local on your server, because now I don't know. I feel there's possibilities with having your own personal.
Well, I mean,
wiki.
I could host a wiki over the internet, no problem. But this isn't something I want exposed.
I know,
because I don't want. It's not exposed to the internet.
Well, what if you had private parts of the wiki and public parts of the wiki? And on the public part,
I don't need people to see my current host file.
I know. I want to build a fake Wikipedia. I think that'd be really fun. How people go to Wikipedia all the time and they just they change everything, which is why they have to lock pages constantly on Wikipedia. I want that, but people are just allowed to write whatever they want, and the only things that are kept are the best jokes written.
Yeah, you're trusting people a little too much. I can guarantee you that's just not gonna happen. How you want it to.
It's just gonna become porn within 10 minutes.
Yeah, or just just copy pasta all the way down with really bad words.
That's fair.
And probably a couple Hitler references.
Yeah. Well, I'd be okay with a few Hitler references. Not too many, but man. Oh well.
It's a nice idea, but I don't think if you were to expose it to the general public, it would last.
Joe, Is there like a, I don't know, is there like a fake Wikipedia already? That's got to exist. No. Oh, there's a Wikipedia article on the word fake. Not the same thing.
Oh, there you go.
Wiki prank? Oh, whatever. It generates a fake article for you. Weird. Huh. That's something to look into later. Sorry, one sec. Okay.
So,
interesting.
Nothing amazing, but it's a super nice convenience for me.
Yeah. I'm glad you told me about it. That is interesting. I didn't think you'd put that much work into keeping track of like it doesn't. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around making making a hyperlinked text thing on a private server instead of just having like a big ridiculous fat Word document where I can just word search whenever I need to.
God, that's just so clunky.
Oh,
and
it's so clunky.
You can't. And formatting is a pain and stuff. Oh,
you gotta live
that's
in the
just
clunk, man.
that is actually just the worst way to do it.
Well, what about
it needs to be way more structured than that.
What about a spreadsheet? You can do a spreadsheet pretty easily.
Well, a spreadsheet would be awful because I'm not just typing like a couple words.
That's fair.
I'm typing like long sentences and stuff.
Yeah.
And so actually, this transitions nicely into another topic I had here.
Oh, cool.
For lists and taking notes on desktop.
It's going to be a heavy Tim podcast the second half, guys. Just get ready for it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you fell into my trap.
So how do you... So something I noticed I do is my text editors, they if I don't have a file saved, if I just make a new file, start typing, close the program and come back, it'll still be there. Mm-hmm. So I find that I do that a lot for things that I'm just too lazy to save that I might need later. So what's happened before is what I'll sometimes do if I need to type in a long message into Discord, I'll just open up, my text editor. So I'm not like accidentally pressing enter or something and sending the message ahead of time. But then I'll just like leave the tab open a lot of times for like months, and I'll be like, oh yeah, should probably close that, and I get around to it. Or maybe I need like a short-term list. I just use a text editor.
Tab open for months. Wow.
Well, because if I don't close the tab and I close the program, it'll just be there when I open it again. So
I know, I get it. That's just very different from how I would handle that.
So how do you, or how would you?
So it depends on what I'm working on, because you and me seem like we handle lists very differently, and note taking. So let me see. It's different because I've been at a college for so long. Because I was like, oh well, actually, for my notes, I'm like, no, I don't take college courses anymore. I haven't taken them for a while. My lists generally nowadays are to-do lists for the day, or they're because I need to write down a quick password for some program that I signed up for. I need to remember that I have information for it. I'm trying to think. Is there any other reason I make lists? I guess for like Christmas presents and stuff. I could definitely come up with some possibilities once I open. Oh, I've got one. I've got one on Microsoft Word right now. It depends. Yeah, I go in between 3 programs for it usually. I usually go in between, well, technically 4, but whatever. I've got so I'll really quickly. The 4th one is it's a really nice, strong, secure note-taking program on my phone.
Which one?
It is. I think it's just the one that comes on this Google device. It is called just Keep Notes. I think it comes on all Google devices.
Yeah. No, maybe I'm thinking of Evernote.
Evernote's much more secure than Keep Notes, but Keep Notes keeps a good chunk.
Well, you say that like they didn't have a data breach a couple years ago.
Keep Notes?
No,
Evernote. Gotcha.
Evernote, yeah.
I mean, who doesn't have a data breach nowadays?
Wow, what a way to look at it. I like that.
I mean, I'm not saying
it's
I'm
like
using
the data's
Evernote.
Going to get out there somehow anyway, so why bother securing it in the first place?
I like all of my stuff local on my device. Emily hates that I do this for a lot of these because some of these are really sensitive passwords, and she's implored me, and at some point I do need to get rid of all of them and stick them on another program. But I'll keep that open in case I have to change the Netflix password for some reason. I'm like, okay, where am I going to write this down? Okay, I'm just going to stick it in Keep Notes really quick. And so I have one long, giant text line up. Oh, yeah, it's really bad. It needs to be changed immediately.
It'll take like a half a day to do, but I highly, highly recommend just getting a password manager.
Yeah.
I did that, and it's just so much easier because I can keep passwords in there for like things that aren't even on websites. Which this isn't something you would use, but like for remote connecting to a server.
Oh yeah.
I can keep passwords in there for that. It's super easy to add, and it can generate passwords super easily given different criteria. So if you need like a website that needs like, you can't have a % sign, then you can have it generate a password without one.
Yeah. I'll probably get one in the next probably a couple days, just since you mentioned it, because I've known for a while. It's been in the back of my mind, like, I should probably look into this because this is not good. And Emily really hates it, but I don't think her way is any better, because I do it on my phone, and her preferred way of keeping them is just keeping, like, a paper in her apartment. And
I would say that is better.
What?
Better, well, it's, yeah.
I like the access that I have to it. My phone's locked. Like, I can just, whatever. I don't see it as much more secure. It's just a piece of paper. Like, if someone broke in, then they get all her information.
Yeah, well, if someone is physically at your house breaking in, then I think you have bigger problems to worry about. If it's digital or on your phone, then they don't even have to be near you to get access to it.
Well, see, that's the thing. I make sure I don't like the idea of ever saving passwords on anything that stores it on a server. It's all incredibly local. Which is what I would want out of a password manager. Like, I wouldn't want the password manager I get to actually access the internet at any time, even to swap it between devices. Like, I only want it locally stored on the phone with what is that? I don't know if there's like a good term for it, but you know the thing, like, if you type in the password wrong like 5 times, it just wipes everything. Like, I want that feature on your phone. Yeah, there's got to be a cool way of saying that. Like, I think
that's a little too paranoid, because any password manager that would be worth using, you're already not even sending like passwords over the internet. You're just sending like the encrypted version of it.
Yeah, that's fair. So
I would say its biggest weakness is that everything is secured by one password. But I mean, I just generated a long random password, committed it to memory, and now it's not even written down anywhere. And it's not typed up anywhere. So I honestly think that's way more secure than even having like a Google Chrome password manager.
I'd really like if phones just came with one, because I feel like phones might be the best way to do it, because you could do like a triple biometric thing for your phone for it. Like if you had a fingerprint scanner and then a face scan and then an iris scan, that sounds like the best way to keep passwords protected under an encrypted background. Like, I want that. I
think that might be a little overkill. For my password manager on my phone, I just need my fingerprint. I set it up like that, because typing in a long, randomly generated password on a phone is pretty difficult.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
But also, does bring up a point, though. If you don't want your passwords to be synced across the internet, then how are you going to, like, put them in on your phone and your desktop?
I don't really want them on my desktop. I usually, when I think of passwords, I'm usually either using them at, like, I don't know, like the bank. Like, I'll go use them there, or I'll be using them for like Netflix on my TV. Like, every once in a while I'll use them on my computer, but I don't care about typing them in. I don't like the idea of like copy pasting a password is nice, but I don't really care about it that much. Like, I'm willing to go through the slog of putting in, 7 5 plus sign equals sign exclamation point. Like, I'll do that. I don't really care about it. That's just me personally, though. Sorry. Okay, so we were talking about lists and note taking.
I mean, password managers are kind of in the same vein.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, I think that was a good topic, or a good tangent to go on. But yeah. Anyways, so if I'm not doing that, then I'm usually going between Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, or just the sticky notes thing. That, how it like adds like a widget of sticky notes to your desktop. Yeah, I'm usually going through each of those, and they all have different purposes. So the one on Word I like because it's very quick to type in. So that one I'm usually using to type in workouts. So because a lot of my working out has had to have been at home lately, I'll just go on there and I'll stick it. Like, I have one up right now that was on here from like 4 days ago, and I think I got through all of it, which makes me happy. I stick it up to like 30 fonts, and then I stick the whole thing in bold, so that I can see it from my laptop as I'm doing my workout on the floor. So that's 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 one of the big ways where I'll use Microsoft Word, but that's just like for a quick and dirty method. If I'm like building like some kind of workout plan, or I'm doing like a grocery list or something like that, I'm actually usually doing it in in Excel, because in there I can, you can just formulate everything.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it became a big deal a while ago when I was doing grocery lists, because I buy a lot of groceries. And because I make very specialized meals every once in a while, and I was taking,
you do a lot of cooking.
Yeah, and Emily was complaining that I was taking too long in the supermarket. So what I started doing is I built the list in Excel, and then I would continue. It allowed me to manipulate the list immediately and very easily, so I could stick all the produce together up top, and then all the meats in the bottom, or however I needed to rearrange it depending on the grocery store I was going to. Because I know the layout so well, I know what aisles I'm going to hit first, second, and third. So I can make sure that I spend the minimal amount of time in the grocery store as possible, and I highly recommend it. By the way, that added a lot to my grocery trips. Yeah,
because I know. So my mom got an Echo for our kitchen. I don't know, maybe like a year ago.
Oh, and she's doing like the hey, add this to the list, like that kind of.
Yeah, personally, I hate those home smart devices, as I'm sure you know, but I especially hate having to add things to the list using it. Mm-hmm. Because not only is it bulky, I just kind of like writing stuff down. Mm-hmm. And then also now what it started doing, this is similar to what you were talking about, it starts grouping up items based on the category. Oh, cool. And my mom hates it, and she says there isn't a way to change it. Yeah.
Why does she hate it?
So
does it do it wrong?
Well, because she doesn't like need it to be categorized. It's not like she's putting like a ton of stuff on there. It's just the essentials and stuff. Mm. But also... yeah, she just doesn't need it.
That's fascinating.
So like I don't know. I'm a fan of just keeping it just a giant list, to be honest.
Yeah. Have you ever? I feel like we've mentioned this before. Have you ever seen those like Amazon sticks for grocery lists? I don't remember what it's called. Amazon
sticks for grocery lists?
Yeah, I got one a while ago. I think it's kind of funny. I really like this little stick. It has Alexa for some reason, which I think is the most ridiculous thing. But it's this little electronic stick, and you can just talk your groceries into it. And I actually really like this stick. Like it's good at what it does. I don't like using it. I'm like you. Like it's much easier to either write it out or type it out for me. What is this thing called?
That is weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna find you exactly what it looks like.
I don't want to have to talk about what I'm gonna do. What if I want to do it in silence or to myself? Then just let me. That's what I don't like about using the Echo, is I don't want to have to talk to something from across the kitchen. What? Oh, add this ingredient or something.
What is this stupid thing called? Oh man.
I think I know what you're talking about, though. I feel like I've seen a picture of it before.
Well, I own one. It's been in my kitchen forever. I've just never used it. And what it is it's it's actually kind of cool. So it's literally just a stick. It's a white stick. It looks like a TV remote almost, but it only has one button in the middle. And the moment you hold down the button, within like a split second, you can start talking, and it'll just record it. So you can just hold it up to your mouth and say, you just hold down the click button and say toilet paper, and then you unclick it. And it doesn't give you any kind of response. It just magically like has toilet paper appear in the list on your Amazon account whenever you're ready to look at it. But it's got this cool thing too, where it actually comes with a barcode scanner at the top. So you can actually go and scan things. Yeah, if you want like that specific item in your Amazon shopping cart. So it's actually really, really good at what it does.
Isn't that just what a phone can do?
I mean, yeah, but have you ever messed around with like a QR reader? Like it's a hassle enough to get the thing out of your pocket and going. This is literally just like you hold down the button.
Just, push your fingerprint on, tap the app icon, and you're good to go.
Shush, you know what I'm talking about. It's super, super like intuitive. Like it's just, you just click the barcode.
No, it is simple, and it probably has its use for people who aren't as tech savvy.
Yeah.
Definitely probably an older market.
It's honestly, I can't imagine ever needing to do that instead of going to the store and being like, I know what frozen burrito I want. Like I don't need the barcode scan in order to know exactly what this item is. Like you'd have to be, I don't know, maybe buying a lot of specific items, or maybe what you're doing is like maybe you're a maid for a wealthy family and you want exactly what they already have in the house. So you need to make a list of exactly that thing. Maybe that's the use.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. It's probably good for that, and also maybe you might not know what the item is, so the barcode would be useful for that.
It's possible. I wish I could remember what this thing's called, because I do think it's worth saying, because I really like that Amazon made this thing, even though I'm not a fan of it, if that makes sense. Whatever, I'm going to stop looking for it. Anyways, lists. I got one more. Sorry. The last one is sticky notes for my computer, and I really like this one because, like you were saying with this one, it pops up the moment I turn on my computer. There's no way to like get rid of it unless you actually physically close it out. So I put on here items that I don't want to do. So if I have a to-do list of things throughout the week that I really don't want to look at, I have it on here so that whenever I'm at my computer, if I'm playing a game, if I'm doing anything else, it's always in the corner of my eye. Like, I'm always going to see this list. So it's got stuff. Yeah, so I have stuff on here.
Like a little nagging in the corner of your brain.
Yeah, like imagine if you have to if you have to call your health insurance thing and it has to be done in the next 2 months, otherwise like you lose your health insurance. You're like, okay, I really need to do this, but it can definitely wait till next week. I'm not going to do it right now. It, like those kind of items, because everyone has those items. Like that always happens.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so that's what I use that list for. So yeah, they all have their purpose. And the sticky notes is my least favorite.
Very, very all over the place.
Oh yeah, that's my whole life. It's always all over the place. It's how I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of sticky notes though, as well.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, I like sticky notes. I'll even use them just for shopping lists too.
Mm-hmm. I guess you could use it for a shopping list. I thought of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like having a physical item to look at when I'm going shopping.
Normally, what I'll do is I usually, because usually when I'm shopping for multiple people. So I'll walk around and ask people like, hey, what do you want? And whenever they tell me, I actually type it into a text message, and then I will send the text message to whoever I want, and then just have a blurb after it, like, "Hey, it's a shopping list. Just ignore this." I mean, usually it's a family member or Emily. Like, usually I'll just text it to Emily, but yeah, it's really nice to do that because then it like starts a thread of people talking about it. So if there's anything at the store that you might miss or something, not only does it does everybody know exactly what you're getting, but they can also update you instantly, and they'll know that you see it at the grocery store if they need something else.
That's true. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so I really like using text messages for that. Oh, interesting. Okay, sorry. I'm getting a lot of weird... I got like 3 or 4 bank emails right now. So, I don't know. Apparently my credit limit's being increased. Woohoo.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
I know you've worked hard for this moment.
Okay, I've got a topic for us.
Yeah, that's been a lot of my topics.
Yeah.
So
I'll knock out this one. Yeah, and I think this one, I don't know, you might like. I'm gonna knock out 3 of these in a row. Because they're all
right, let's see this.
Okay, so instead I'm gonna make a new topic on the bottom of our list right here called Mediocre Games. I'm gonna talk about all the games together under that listing.
Wait, does it include Fall Guys?
It does include Fall Guys. It does.
Oh, thank goodness.
I'm going to hit a lot of these at once. And I'll go through them fairly quickly because I don't have much to say on them. So the first one I have up here is the game Carrion. I was really excited about Carrion circa like 2 years ago because it's a very interesting and fascinating looking game. And I think it has a lot of merit to it. So if you don't remember, Carrion is it's a 2D platformer where instead of being a person trying to accomplish something, you're a giant monster and you're trying to kill everything in your path. And the faster you kill people, the better.
I heard it described as a reverse horror game.
Yeah, it's very much true. Like you go around and like you'll bang on a ceiling and everyone underneath will scream and go, "Oh my goodness!" And you're like, "Hey, you're gonna be my lunch." It's really good, and you like start getting bigger as the game goes on, so you start becoming like a more gelatinous blob, and it feels really, really good. The problem with it, and this could be, I think I'm gonna keep that as a theme for all these games. But the problem with it is that the level design it's very good, but it's very confusing. And maybe it's just because I'm bad with maps, but I struggled in these levels. I know I'm very bad with directions. But what it does basically is it gives you an area. So it starts you in like, the underground facility. And then from there you can find a portal to go through the sewage facility. And they're all like different large, areas that you can go around and explore. But you'll go to like the end of one, you'll find a way to portal, jump over to the next one. You'll gain an ability, and then you can go back and kind of use that ability somewhere. But these levels are so big, and there's like 4 or 5 of them, and they don't explain what these abilities do. Like, there's not much explanation to anything in this game. They really want you to just go for it. There's very little dialogue.
I like that.
Yeah, and so, but it just it leaves you to just stumble around in the dark for a while. And it's enjoyable being this giant monster that's eating people. But the problem is, once you've eaten someone, they don't ever spawn again. They're gone. So what you essentially do is you're playing and you're having a great time for about 15 minutes or so, and then you finish this level, and it's totally empty. And then you just have to go walking around and looking for the next place to go. And I don't know. I kept getting like stuck in these loops where I'm like, I have no idea where to go. I'm going to touch everything around each of the rooms and go do this. And like, I just couldn't find it. And I got so frustrated, I just fell off of it. Like I just never wanted to go back to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I'm interested to play it to see if I have the same problem.
Yeah. No, I'm very curious because I mean, you know, my sense of direction, it's miserable. It's absolutely miserable. So maybe it is just that. Maybe I should have you walk me through it after you play it. But you know, it feels.
I'm definitely waiting for it to be on sale though.
Yeah, that makes sense. The game
because it looked like an interesting game, but it wasn't a game I was quite willing to spend full price on.
Yeah, you're not a 2D platformer kind of guy normally, and it's not really.
I mean, I can be. It definitely looked like the kind of 2D platformer that I could actually get into.
It's not, you know, okay, 2D platformer, it might be the wrong way of explaining it. It's definitely, there are definitely platforms, and it is two-dimensional, but it's not, there's no jumping or anything. You can actually essentially fly, because you're in a big underground facility the whole time, and so you can very easily climb onto the roof and just swing from the roof to different rooms. And
yeah, because you have your giant tentacles.
Yes, and the controls feel very, very good. It's more about, so you'll walk into a room and someone in the bottom will have a flamethrower, and you cannot be seen by the flamethrower because you are very flammable. And so you have to actually sneak around them and under them in order to kind of jump up through the grates and snatch them before they can turn on the flamethrower and kill you. So it's almost self-based, but I don't think that's the right word. I mean, it's a monster game. Like it's interesting. It's very interesting, and when the game is working, it feels really, really good. So yeah, it's definitely on a sale. I think that's great. I'm still happy with it, but I wish I could actually play it. Okay, so the next one in the Mediocre Games list is Ghost of Tsushima.
I'm excited. Which one is this?
Ghost of Tsushima is the next one.
Ooh, boy.
So, I have it in here as Ghosts of Tsushima. That is not true. You are the ghost of Tsushima. There's not multiple ghosts. It's really...
Whoa, okay.
Right?
Spoiler warning next time?
Changes the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm about 5 hours into this, 6 hours into it, or something like that. It feels, again, amazing. It's a really, really good game. It the combat's interesting. I don't know if you ever played the game Neo. I don't think you did. But
I don't think so, no.
Think of kind of like Dark Souls, because I know you've tried Dark Souls at some point.
Oh no, is it a Souls-like?
No, it's different. It's a Neo-like, but I don't think you've tried Neo. So the big thing in Neo is that in order to defeat the enemies, whichever enemies they are, you have to determine which one they are. So if they're carrying a spear, then they're a spear enemy. If they're carrying a sword, they're a sword enemy. And depending on which one, you have a different set of martial arts skills that you can use. So it'll map these to like the D-pad or something, or like you hold down L1 and then you press a direction on the D-pad, and you will switch your stance. So you know your sword will be up in the air, your sword will be to the side, and it'll be called like tiger stance or lion stance. Or, I don't remember what they call them, but those are the kind of things. Depending on what stance you do, that will give you like a huge bonus of stuff to the enemy. So it feels pretty good when it's working again.
Okay.
The problem with it is
the problem.
It's very repetitive. The combat is essentially the exact same for every single enemy, either the big ones or the small ones. They're very easy to defeat. Once you get the rhythm down, you can pretty much do it. And it's so bad that everyone was complaining that the difficulties felt no different. There was people on the forums complaining that easy difficulty was super hard, and there was a bunch of people complaining that the hard difficulty was actually the easy difficulty. So they added in the lethal difficulty after that, and nobody liked that one either, because it still didn't feel good. Like, it just felt... because everything would die within 2 hits. Like, that's kind of how the game's built. And yeah, and just the windows for attack and everything. Like, it's got this cool thing. I actually really like this part of the game. So you walk into a place and you'll see someone like just on the ramparts of a castle or something, and you'll yell up to them like, "Hey, come down and fight me." And then it'll swap, or then the camera will flip to him having walked down and standing in front of you. And then you almost have like an old Wild West duel thing where you both have your hands on the swords, and the first one to draw is the loser. So what you're trying to do is wait till he starts drawing his sword, and then you can attack him right then as he's drawing it and slice his face open, and then just walk past him.
Yeah, kind of like a quick time event of sorts.
Yeah, essentially. But it's really cool because if you do that, then everyone in the place is like, "Oh my god, this guy's amazing!" And if you kill like a really big badass person by chance, like I think at one point, that's another problem with the game. It's basically it's kind of a mix between I'm gonna get this wrong, but think Dark Souls and Far Cry, which I know doesn't make it feel good, but I promise it's it's got.
Yeah, I heard it was open world, and so just hearing that, I'm like,
It's like a PlayStation 3 open world game. That's probably the best explanation. It feels good, but yeah, it's kind of that thing. So so as in like it is in Far Cry and everything. There's a big building, and they're filled with people, and you have to take these over to get posts that you can then fast travel from. It's kind of that thing.
So, what about the Shadow of Mordor games?
Well, no.
How does it compare to that at all? In terms of like the base.
Well,
what's the word? Like the base control.
Let me finish my story really quick, and then I'll tell you the explanation. But because I'm right at the end. But so I walked into a base, and you know how in Far Cry, well, I don't know if you remember this, but like there's a whole bunch of little enemies, and then there's like the boss enemy. He's like the super hard one, and he's the one like controlling that particular outpost. So if you do the fight command on him, like I walked up to one and I was just like, fight me, and he came down and I killed him in one hit. Everybody else just ran. And I immediately got the post. It was really cool. So that was
you just asserting dominance over them.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, I'm the badass now. What are you gonna do about it? But that's the kind of thing where it's like it was way too easy. I just walked in there, and it was I pressed triangle one time, and I owned the base. Yeah, right.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was really that was the big problem with it. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, right. So Shadow of Mordor. I'm trying to remember back. It's been a while since I played Shadow of Mordor.
Because I remember that game, people were saying it was really good, but I just remember it being very boring and repetitive as well.
I think the merit to that game was the repetitiveness of it, because the combat felt so good that people kind of overlooked the rest of it. I think the rest of the game was that bad, or it was really bad, but I think the combat felt really, really good in that one.
Really? Because I found the combat to be kind of boring as well. That game just felt very boring to me for some reason. I have no idea why.
I don't think like melee
I would love
combat.
to come back to it one day, but
I just don't think you're a fan of melee combat, because every time I've played with you with melee combat, you're like, this doesn't feel good. We should play a shooter.
You say that, but then
which game do you like in melee combat with?
Well, The Witcher 3. I love that melee combat system because it's like it is. I know you don't like it when I do this, but I do like to compare it ever so slightly to Dark Souls.
That's okay.
And I think it's a good, for me, light version of Dark Souls combat.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And in fact, I was thinking about it when you're talking about difficulty, because I think that the hardest difficulty is the best difficulty to play the Witcher 3 on. Mm-hmm. Because it requires you to actually use your potions a lot more. It requires a little bit more planning and a lot more care. Mm-hmm. It does make the enemies a little more tanky, of course, and so it can be more annoying. But you actually have to be careful how you approach a group of enemies. So you oftentimes have to like try and get around them, go for the archers first, so you're not getting shot while you're fighting, the shield guy or something. Mm-hmm. So I find it interesting how that's also a problem in that game as well. Just seems kind of easy.
I'm trying to
because even on Death March on Witcher 3, mm-hmm. I was still thinking this isn't like super hard. Yeah, you can mess up and die pretty fast, but so long as you're just like not doing anything ridiculously dumb, you'll be fine.
I think I'd probably put this combat somewhere in the middle of Witcher and Dark Souls, because you can kind of it's easy to switch between enemies, which I usually consider as more of a Witcher thing, but it is still about that very specific combat and making sure you get your hits proper and dodge rolling at the right time. I don't know. It feels decent, but I don't know. I talked about it a little while ago with Emily, and I was like, listen, I'm not sure I can finish this game on my own, but if you come help me, I could do it. She's like, oh yeah, I really want to watch that game. Like, that's a game I want to watch. Oh, I forgot to tell you the best part of it. The best part is that it's there's three things that I love. First of all, there's birds that just fly around, and if you follow the birds, they always lead you to treasure.
I was just hoping you were going to leave it at there's birds.
The second thing,
that's a much better selling point.
The second thing is there's 100 foxes in the game, and they're called fox spirits. And what you do is you'll just see a random fox walking around, and it's really cool the first time you see it. But they'll be walking around, and they'll just stop in a certain place, and you'll go, oh, there's a shrine over here, and then you can go bow to this fox shrine, and it gives you I forgot some bonus into something. and then you pet the fox in the head. It's just this like nice little moment that they keep adding in the game. It's funny though. I saw a review of the game a little while ago, and the birds apparently get very annoying. I'm only 5 or 6 hours in, but apparently there's hundreds of these birds, and they always lead to so you can have headbands in the game, and there's like a million different styles of headbands. There's a whole bunch of textures on these headbands. And so do
they do anything?
No, they're just headbands. So
just cosmetics.
Yes, every time you follow a bird, you get a new headband, but you never put them on. And so that's one of the big jokes of the game is like you're always going to get the next one, but you're never going to wear it. Like you're just getting this fashion item that's never going to do anything. Number one best thing about this game though is I love the HUD in this because there is no HUD. There is very little on your screen. There's not even waypoints. There's no waypoints. There's no nothing like that. What this game does is you have a button. Actually, no, you don't even have a button. You know how the PlayStation 4 controller has a touchpad in the middle?
Yeah.
So what you do is you stroke the touchpad really quick. You just do like a quick like swipe up with your finger, and the wind blows. And wherever the wind blows is the direction that your next objective is in, which I think is the coolest thing. It works really, really well, and it's very subtle. I love it. Like that was
I can agree with that because to bring up The Witcher 3 again, a major problem that game suffered in is
a lot of stuff on
reliance
the
on the minimap. Mm-hmm. I watched a good video from Game Maker's Toolkit, Mark Brown. I think I've recommended his channel to you several times.
Probably.
Where it's follow the white dotted line.
Yes.
So oftentimes you're not even taking in the surroundings because you're staring at the minimap.
Yeah.
So something that I actually liked doing in that game was installing a mod that removed the minimap, but just gave you like a compass
with
nice. Waypoints. Or even you can see the waypoints on your screen as opposed to a minimap, so you can, follow them that way. So you actually have to look at the game and where you are.
That's nice. That was my big problem with Skyrim. Skyrim was terrible for me because of that. That was my number one complaint. I'm like, there's just arrows to everything. There's literally ugh, man. And
there was actually in that same video, I believe, he brought up Morrowind. Mm-hmm. And how there was no map in that, and how a lot of it was just you had to figure out the world on your own.
Yes.
So you actually had to read street signs and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I would love for a game to do that again.
Yeah, that's why everybody loved Morrowind, because you just find you go into a guy's house and he'd have a journal, and he's like, hey, at this like blue house, I turned left one day and there was a cave, and inside the cave there was a magic sword. Like it was very like it was world based navigation instead of it was awesome.
Instead of like some GPS system.
I heard that there was it wasn't Ultima Online. Was it Neverwinter? There was an MMO that did this really well too, apparently. There's some famous quest where like some guy asks you to go like, defeat rats in his basement, and then there's like a puddle, and if you go and look in the puddle, you'll find a ring. And then if you ask some other random NPC in the world about this ring, they'll say like, oh my god, that was my fiance's. You got to come with me to go take it back to her. And then it launches like this 8-hour quest. Like this massive part of the game that most people just glance past. It's just, I don't know. Apparently it was really, really good. But yeah, no, that
sounds like a bit much though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it's an MMO. People go crazy for that kind of stuff in MMOs. But yeah, that textually based stuff, or contextually based stuff is just wonderful. I really like when they do that. Sorry, did I cut you off when you were saying something else about Morrowind?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
I am interested to know, though, what this next mediocre game is.
Oh, you know what it is. You want to say it?
I want you to tell me all about it.
All right. Fall Guys. Fall Guys is the next mediocre game on this list.
Yay.
Yeah. Jacob's all... Actually, how about you tell everyone why you're annoyed by this game? Well,
I just don't like it.
Well, what's been happening in your friends group with it that's annoying you so much?
They play it?
Yeah.
All the time now?
Like a lot. Like it's there's been a lot of Fall Guys.
Like I'll just see like one of them get online to play by himself in the middle of the day. I've seen a couple of them do that now, and I'm like, the game can be fun when you're with people, but it is just so tilting for me. I'm like not even having fun anymore. I'm not looking to play a game where I can lose because I didn't do anything wrong. If I lose, I want it to be because I'm bad at the game, not because janky netcode.
So yeah, Fall Guys is a game that just came out 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, something like that. This is another game
Yeah,
by
about a month.
Devolver. It's the same publisher that released Carrion. They released it roughly at the same time. And Fall Guys it's essentially a competitive pseudo sports based battle royale.
It's a Mario Party battle royale is honestly, I think, the best way to put it.
I think even that's a little bit too harsh on Fall Guys. I don't know if you ever lived through Mario Party. That was bad.
Well,
Well, what I'm saying is usually,
but I think it's a good reference point for people.
Yeah, exactly. Mario Party, it definitely has that same kind of mini game thing. It's based around mini games. So there's like 4 or 5 mini games, and then the game's over. That's kind of the thing. The problem with Mario Party,
a lot of it can be kind of like just unfair as well.
Yeah, the problem with Mario Party is there wasn't just like bad mini games, but they were bad mini games based in a board game that took 3 hours to play. So imagine a 3-hour long Fall Guys map where most of it was watching people roll dice to find out what squares they were going to go on next to gain fake points. It was bad. Anyways, God, Mario Party. So Fall Guys can be a lot of fun when you get it correct. There's only 3 commands in it. You can either dive, you can grab onto things, which means you can either grab people or you can climb, like you can grasp stuff, and you can also jump. So those are your like 3 things that you can do in the game. And they do a lot with this. They have a soccer game in there. They have like a funny, like it's a hexagon one that everybody really loves and hope they get, where when you stand on a platform, it drops through the floor, and if you do this like 5 or 6 times, you'll drop to the ground and you'll die. So you got to
so you got to keep moving, so you're always on top of one that's still there.
Exactly. And there's this funny skill because if you can time it right, then you can hop and like make it drop a lot slower for you as opposed to everybody else and stay on it better than everyone else. There's a soccer. I think I mentioned the soccer game.
That one was actually the only one I really liked.
Yeah,
because it's the most skill based.
Oh yeah, everybody likes
like,
that one.
If you did bad, it was all on you with maybe another person griefing you.
The problem is, I like this. I like this theme I've got going.
This is a good reoccurring theme. I like this.
Thanks. And this is a thing that I think I disagree with you a bit on, Jake. I don't think the problem is necessarily that there's too much RNG. I think the problem is that the game, it has one foot in RNG, like, you know, random things happening, because it is fun to like there's a game in it where it's literally just, I think like the first round is always a game where you're literally just in a group that's stampeding towards the finish line. Like that's always the first game you play. And depending on where you are in this stampede and what doors happen to open for you on this whole thing, you're either going to win or you're going to lose. And it's not your fault. You're just in this massive stampede of people and you might get trampled to death.
Like if you start at the back of the pack, you're just always going to be struggling.
Exactly. So I don't think the problem is necessarily that. I think the problem is that it has 1 foot in skill and 1 foot in ridiculous fun. And it doesn't do either particularly well, but it hasn't chosen a side yet.
I don't see, that's the problem though, is I don't find the game consistent enough, or there's not enough you can do as well.
Exactly.
That makes it anywhere remotely skill based though. Well, because it feels like for example the soccer game, you're like a ridiculously slow guy with a kind of a pathetic little dive, and it feels like every time I hit the ball, it never goes where I want it to.
Yeah. I think honestly a big part of it is just this janky physics they have in it, which is adorable, but it's also very, like, it's not that there's no skill, because you and I both know someone who's played that game, and like the one you were talking about playing in the middle of the day, he's gotten very good at the game and wins consistently.
Oh, absolutely. Like you learn patterns and stuff, and you learn how to move consistently and all that. But I was talking about this game with Emily too, and I was like, man, I don't like Fall. Like I enjoy it because there's other people playing it, and it is a bit of a laugh for a while. I don't really like it though, but it does make me wish though that we had some kind of sports game that felt like this, like not like a real sports game like a FIFA or something, but something that got a little bit more ridiculous in the video game world, but had a lot of skill behind it, where you could do something like this in a very serious way. Like I would love to see something like this played competitively, like almost like an American Ninja Warrior video game, kind of like that's kind of what I'm picturing in my head. Do you kind of know where I'm going with this? I know where you're going, but one of the problems I'm willing to admit is that the more skill, the higher the skill cap you can put into it, the worse it's going to be for casuals. I think, and people who don't really play that many video games. Yeah. So
I think there should.
It is a trade-off you have to look at.
I think there should be a little bit of RNG in it. I'm not exactly sure where that should come from, but but yeah, I think that Fall Guys just falls too far in the middle where it's like, man, you're really not good at either of those things, but like you're fine. I don't know. Okay, I'm almost done with this list. I think I have 2 more.
Well, yeah. So like I think as one thing I would do to change it.
Oh yeah.
That would make it like at least more entertaining to me is maybe give like a small rechargeable like boost button. So like you could like sprint for 3 seconds.
Okay, so you could kind of
like
you could
do that like every
in
15
there.
seconds or something. Mm-hmm. So then you can like at least if you want you can try and like min max like what's the best way to speed run this course or something. So then it's not just the same like I go up this thing and then I jump to this thing and be like okay well if I sprint here then I won't be able to use it there. So I think I don't know something like that in my head at least sounds like it would make it a lot more fun.
I don't think that's a terrible idea. I think they need something like that. I don't know exactly what this game needs right now, but it needs to change if they want to keep people around. I believe there's already a season pass for it. I'm like, dude, this is not a season pass kind of game.
No. When I saw that, that's also another thing that rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Was the cosmetic store and then also the fact that I have season passes.
Yeah, it feels like a cash grab.
Ooh, yikes.
Yeah, so if they really care about it, I think there's a lot of things they could do to make this more competitive. Like they need to fix the physics a little bit. They just need to. Like it doesn't work very well. Like you can kind of learn the physics in this clunky way, but it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, the microtransactions also rub me the wrong way.
Yeah.
If you've seen the Devolver Digital's E3 presentations.
They made fun of it. And they still released this game.
The mocking of them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay. This is the exact same thing you were making big fun of.
Yeah,
okay.
It needs a bit of work, and if they don't change anything, then everyone's going to fall off this game in like a month. I don't see a way that it sticks around. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, everyone was wrong about
I think
that one game.
I think people like us won't stick around for it nearly as long as maybe casuals will.
Maybe.
I think it'll have a lot of longevity in the fact that people will definitely be like, oh, hey, have a friend or two over. Let's just, play Fall Guys for a bit.
Well,
to kill some time or something.
If that's true, I really hope it develops some kind of hyper-competitive scene that pushes the developers to do something cool with it.
I
know. I don't think it'll happen, but I really hope it does because that's the only reason I'll ever come back to the game. Like I'll play it for the next month or two, but we're gonna fall off very quickly.
It definitely needs some quality of life improvements as well.
Yeah. So, okay. Mediocre Games. We're almost done with this. It's okay. PUBG. I went back to PUBG. I've got a friend who a mutual friend with you and everything that likes to play this game. Yeah. It's usually Rainbow Six Siege, but every once in a while we'll hop on PUBG. He started doing it recently and I was like, you know what? I haven't played PUBG in like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. It's been a while.
A while, yeah.
It feels like a lot longer because battle royales are just so ubiquitous now. Like I don't know, man. They're just everywhere. Anyways, I wanted to go back and check how PUBG was, and it's very interesting. I was gonna compare it to the mobile version, but I actually don't remember that one very well. I just played that one recently too because I wanted to see how how they compared to one another. But I'll stick with just the normal PUBG. This will be very, very short. It's basically this. I can't even say that. You can tell that they looked at the success of Apex and are like, okay, we got to do something here because they've changed a little bit of stuff. Like one thing that was a big problem with people was the time to kill. They vastly reduced that, I think, in the worst way possible, which is that.
Wait, reduced it? That was.
I'm sorry, increased it. Increased it.
Okay, no. Because that was actually.
No, I meant reduced. Yeah,
so you can kill people even quicker than a one-shot headshot.
Yes. Like so what you do, okay, at the very first building I dropped in for my first map, I dropped in there was 2 sniper rifles and 2 assault rifles. It was just like some random building in the middle of a town. And every other one I went into, it was roughly the same thing. It was just like that, tons of 5.56 ammo. It was just like, okay, you're clearly just telling me get whatever gun you want and just go start firing at people. So it was a lot less of what I think people enjoyed about PUBG at the beginning, which was very much, it almost felt survival-y for the first bit.
Was that a consistent thing? Did you play more games? Because that's just, since it's so RNG based.
I only played 2 or 3.
Could have just been that map.
But I only played 2 or 3 rounds, but I will say it was in multiple buildings. I kept walking into other buildings, and it was all like that. Like I was walking, I don't remember the names of the towns anymore. But every building I was going into was like that. It kept having, okay, here's a sniper rifle. Here's 2 more sniper rifles. Oh, here's 2 more assault rifles. Like, it was, you could definitely tell they had dialed up the consistency to which you'd find those weapons. Am I getting called right now?
Yeah, that does make sense, though.
Okay, hold on.
Then...
One sec, Jake. I'm getting called right now. Hold on.
Okay.
Hello? Bad call. Okay. Sorry, PUBG.
Oh, what was I going to ask? Okay, PUBG. Oh, so did you mentioned they lowered the time to kill, though, or they changed it somehow?
What I'm saying is you can definitely tell that what they're trying to do is decrease the amount of time it takes to actually find someone to kill. Which was the really big problem, because it would be a half-hour map where you would not see anyone and then your head would explode. So now your head explodes much faster. That's
well, okay. Time to kill is different though than time to find a player. Time to kill is how long it takes to kill someone when you're firing at them with a weapon.
Oh, okay. I'm using a different definition. I'm usually talking to a friend about this, and they usually use it in a different sense.
Oh no, time to kill is just solely like you're mag dumping someone. How many bullets and how many seconds does it take?
It is still PUBG. Okay, so the time to kill has not changed then. I mean, the time to find another player and to get your first kill, which is what I was referring to. That has been increased a lot. I think in just the worst way possible, which was that the consistency of the drop rates was just increased like crazy. This could just be because I haven't played PUBG in a while, but it seemed like the circle was closing a lot slower as well. So it basically made the circle a moot point. Like, you just it didn't matter. But that just could have been because I hadn't played it in a while. This
they might have tweaked it. Maybe it closes slower, but there's like less break between when it's moving.
Yeah, and not that you care about this, because I know you probably won't even justify the mobile version as a real version, but they added pyramids into it.
What do you mean pyramids?
I think it's just a weird mode that they're doing, but it's getting very what's the word? Novelty. It's getting very novel. So when I went on there was an event for like the Sacred Tomb or something. So I drop into this PUBG map, and it was just the normal. What's the main map? You know, the main map, like the main.
Erangel.
Yeah, Erangel. So I dropped there, and there.
Well, you can't just pronounce it like that.
Erangel. I'm pretty sure that's 100% wrong, but whatever. I'll do it to make you happy.
Thank you.
Erangel. I dropped on it, and there's like. I just kept getting notifications about, like, the pyramids will rise in 5 minutes. The pyramids will rise in 2 minutes. And so for the first part, I didn't know what these stupid things were. I'm like, what the hell are these pyramids? And then I look up, and they literally lifted off the ground, and they're just in the air. So I was like, okay, there's clearly something going on with this, and I can't find any one of these maps. They must all be up there. So I finished that round, and then I started another one up, and I made it a point to go around, find the first pyramid I could, and just stand on it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be in this pyramid. And inside there was like a random novelty loot box with a mini game in it that I had to finish. It was like, match these 3 things together, and then it was actually kind of cool questions. It was like, which city has the most players in it? And you had to choose one of the cities, and then if you chose it correctly, then you got like a really good gun out of this chest with some ammo.
Oh, so based on like cities in the game?
Yes. It'd be like, No, it was saying based on the cities, which city at this very moment has the most kills. Yeah. Where did
That's interesting.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting, but this weird, stupid pyramid just lifts off the ground and goes into the sky, and so you're at plane level, with these pyramids with a sniper rifle, so you can just easily look down at literally anything in the surrounding area and snipe down on it. It was just weird. Like, it's the mobile version. I get that they're gonna do kooky stuff, but it was just really, really weird.
Yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah. Okay, I've been talking about this for a while, and my last one is Baseball. I have not played it, so I'm really not going to mention it very much, except to say that it's a thing. It's like an online what, I don't know. It's okay. So think of fantasy baseball, but it's fantasy baseball from hell. I think one of the teams is actually demons from hell. And they have, and all of the players in this fantasy, like this fake fantasy league, are all forced to play for eternity at all times. So all of the seasons for it only last 1 week within Baseball. And so as you're placing your bets and stuff, you need to know that the season will end in the week or at the end of the week, because they're playing games all through the night. So they're on a 24-hour cycle. It's just this.
You're not selling it very well.
I know, it's just fantasy baseball game. I wanted to tell you more about it, but they just took the servers off a couple days ago because apparently the creator of the game wanted to change a few things about it. So I'll probably have a lot more to say on it because it is actually very interesting sounding. I think there was a voting thing on it a while ago. I don't know too much about it. I just keep hearing things about it, but there's these like secretive voting things where if you're in a certain tier in this game, like not money, but like if you've gotten to a certain level, you can vote on certain things happening in the league, and one of them just said peanuts, and so people started voting on peanuts, and then apparently, what that incurred was just random members of the audience for these games throwing peanuts at the players, and the ones with peanut allergies all did terrible because they were all having allergic reactions while they were playing.
Heck?
Yeah, it sounds cool and weird and interesting, but I don't know because they just took the servers down for a week or so I gotta go check back later. My mouth's getting really dry. Say what?
It's a weird mechanic.
Yeah, it's super. I'm sorry I'm talking so fast. My mouth is really dry and I want to take a 5-minute break. Can we take a 5-minute break? Because I finished my topic.
That's fine.
Okay.
So, speaking of games that aren't mediocre,
Oh, please say Universal Paperclips. You say on here Exponential Idle. That could
a game
mean...
like that.
You do?
Yeah. Actually, hang on. Speaking of idle games,
I know. I'm gonna start playing it right now.
I need to check. I need to check this other one I'm playing right now. I didn't put this one on the list because.
Dude, I just opened up Universal Paperclips again. Keep talking.
Don't do it.
I already did. It's already happening.
All right. So.
Can you hear me clicking?
Exponential Idle it's not as good as Universal Paperclips.
Okay. Oh, it's an actual game title.
Yeah, Exponential Idle.
Oh, I thought it was like just the type of game. My bad.
I know it's the name is but I think it's really well done.
Wait a second.
It's very basic. It's not flashy.
Are you playing this on a phone?
I
Jacob, are you? Oh
my goodness! It have a desktop version. I don't understand what you're. Well, when you see this, it hardly looks like a game.
It's okay. All right, I won't mention it again. This can be your little thing. Sorry.
I'm confused.
You're like a little boy that just hugged his dad for the first time. You're like, oh, I'm not going to mention it. It's not a big deal.
You say this like I literally haven't played phone games ever.
You always make such a big fuss out of me playing them. I don't know. I like that you're dipping your toe in the water again. I know you've played phone games before. When do you find yourself playing this? That's what I want to know. When are you?
Oh,
playing
I beat the game.
Oh, well, when?
So Exponential Idle is. It's a very simple game, but the game gives you the equations it's using to figure out all the different currencies you get and stuff.
Yeah, I see that.
And so what you can actually do is buy upgrades. So the premise of the story is that you're an undergrad and you move up to a grad student and get your PhD, and you're like doing research work and stuff. There's a story there, but all you're trying to do is supposedly figure out if this equation ever reaches infinity.
Okay.
And so.
Wait,
what you're doing so what you're doing though is you have an equation and you get more money over time, and if you press so the tapping part of it is that if you press it, you like move time forward by a certain like another variable. And so you get all of the money associated with how much time moved forward. But what you can do to upgrade is you buy variables to put into the equation, and you can upgrade how much they multiply those variables by and such. So maybe you have like X times Y equals money earned. So what you could do though is you get maybe multiply X by 1.1 when you upgrade it. So it's X times 1.1 times Y equals money earned.
Okay, Jacob, can I ask something really quick? Because it's really bothering me, and I'm going to keep zoning out if I don't ask this really quick. Well, I don't even know if it's a question. I just need to say it. It's incredibly easy to know whether something is going to reach infinity or not because you can just plug it into an integral. Is what you're doing literally just finding whether or not this equation reaches infinity? Or is it multiple equations?
I can't quite remember, but it's just like it's like the story because
Okay.
one of the things is
It's a bad grad student if you couldn't figure this out.
no, it's like they're not actually trying to figure that out. It's like an imagination kind of thing.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like, oh yeah, see if this makes, reaches infinity, but you have to like progressively like solve the equation. I don't know.
Okay, cool. I'm on board.
I don't know math well enough, but that's just like
All right.
I like it.
Keep talking.
Because they make jokes about like research work and all that. But so let's see.
Sorry, threw you off.
So there's obviously different types of currency that you can get that are calculated in different ways, and then there's also multiple ways to reset your progress so you can get further and further.
Are you using real currencies or fake currencies?
I mean currency in the sense that it's what you can use to buy upgrades.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So you have money which you use to buy upgrades for your variables at the beginning, but then every time you reset, you can get another type of currency, and there's like two major currencies that you use to buy permanent upgrades.
Okay.
And so I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, but there's like basic systems that are just kind of like reused, but it's done in a good way. So like I said, there's two different ways to reset your progress to, make the next run faster.
Yeah.
But I think it's done well.
Yeah, I think...
and they're both different enough that it works really well. And there is an end to the game, and it is achievable. And there's actually little mini games you can play as well in order to get stars, which are another form of upgrade as well.
Nice.
So there's actually mini games in it.
So I think I don't know if we can have a whole conversation about this or even if we should, but there's definitely something to be said about idle games like this that have an actual ending. And without having like a ridiculous time that you need to invest in with that actual ending, because it seems like whenever either of us come across an idle game that just has an ending, we think of it as a pretty decent game. Yeah, that's all we need. I just wanted to end at some point. This one was
still better than most, I think, as well.
How long did it take you to beat it?
So I did end up. So I was not misinformed, but I didn't understand how to get stars, which are a pretty important currency to progressing. Mm-hmm. So I thought you could. The best way to get it was by tapping, and so I actually got an auto clicker for that. Huh. But it turns out you actually get more than enough just from idling it and like coming back to it 8 hours later. So I did beat it faster because of that. But I mean, it would have taken me like a couple extra days, all things considered.
Not bad.
Maybe. So I think it took me probably around 2 weeks in total. And I was doing a lot of work at the beginning because you haven't automated as much stuff. But then eventually it just became like, oh yeah, just before I go to bed and when I get up in the morning, maybe once or twice throughout the day, I'll check on it, reset some things, and then just let it play.
Not bad.
So it definitely became very hands off later, but I mean it's pretty up there. I think I definitely recommend giving it a try.
All right, I'll probably do that. Honestly, now that you've said it, I've seen it come across my my Android games a couple times, but I'm always like, it's another clicker game. I don't want to get invested into it because I'm always worried it's gonna. I'm always worried it's gonna turn into another Adventure Capitalist. Which is, it's famous for taking, I think it takes like 35,000 years to beat. Like, it's something crazy and awful.
Yeah, I can't stand that game for that. Once I heard that, realizing I had invested so much time into that stupid game and being like, oh, okay, I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for that.
Especially because it is actually a good game. Like all things considered, like when you rip everything else away and you're just like, if you take a 5 to 10 minute snippet, I'm like, oh, I actually enjoy playing this for small amounts of time. But then there's no ending, and it's just, it just kills it so much.
There's no ending, and there's no layers to it.
Yeah.
At least like Exponential Idle, you have different layers, different currencies and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I use the term currency pretty broadly, but it's just like a thing you use to buy upgrades. Yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Not bad.
I did a terrible job explaining it.
It's okay.
And I probably sounded really boring, but it really is just like, okay, here's numbers, and here's more numbers. There's no flash, there's no flare, there's not even like a single image, basically.
Universal paper.
It's all text almost.
It's great.
But it's still really fun.
I want more of those. I'm glad you. I'm definitely gonna check it out later.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that one.
Okay, I had two more topics on here. Honestly, I don't want to talk about either of them. Looking back on them, I did want to mention one other thing though, and I think this would be a decent ending topic. I want to talk about Frog Fractions. I think I've played enough to be able to talk about it. So recently, Frog Fractions 1 released a while ago. Frog Fractions 2 released immediately afterwards, which was, as everybody knows, because it's just common knowledge at this point, the Frog Fractions 2 was the RNG. I mean, not the RNG, the ARG to find Frog Fractions 3. And Frog Fractions 3 came out, I think a year or two ago. And then Frog Fractions 4 was just released on Steam. And within Frog Fractions 4, there was Frog Fractions 5, which I'm currently working on. Okay.
Wait, hold on there a second. First off, I don't agree with an ARG being a part of the franchise, but I'll let that slide. But 4 was not a new game. They released the original game on Steam, and then as a DLC, a hat DLC that unlocked the next game. So it was a re-release of the first game. It wasn't an entirely new game.
But it's a super... All right.
It doesn't... So yeah, you have the ARG, then you have 2, which was the... or 3, which is the ASCII game, and then you have 4, which was the DLC.
So why... Hold on. Why can ARG be the second game, but a DLC pack can't be a different game? It's ARG. Like, it's just like a marketing thing.
Yeah, so that's why I wouldn't say it's a game. It just rubs me the wrong way. But if the guy who did it says it's a game, then I'll just have to accept that.
So I just finished Frog Fractions 4, and I'm currently working on Frog Fractions 5. I don't particularly like either of them. I like them about as much as I like Frog Fractions 1. And the reason I say that is because it's just like there's not much of a game in Frog Fractions. It's more of a love letter to other games. Like what they're doing is it's essentially just like a smash up of Game Jam, like of different Game Jams together. And then they have some kind of weird story overarching the whole thing. And I think the story is very funny the first time you read it. It's got a very like 13-year-old sense of humor to it. So if you're in that kind of mindset, especially like late at night, it's a very fun thing to play while you're drinking. Aside from that, though, I'm not actually a huge fan of them. But this thing, replaying them, it really did surprise me with something, though, which is that I really liked Frog Fractions 3, the ASCII game. I really liked the ASCII game. I honestly think it was the best Frog Fractions out there as well. Yeah.
Because one of the problems with 4 and the first one is that, I mean, it's kind of like random, what's going to happen next kind of game.
Yes, exactly.
Like the humor is in the absurdity of it all.
Yeah. Which is fine the first time, but like after you see it, like do you need to even finish it, you know? Like you saw it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, you're like, "Oh, okay, now everyone's on fire. Now they're in space. Now they're all Obama." Like it's just like after a while,
now I'm, giving Obama a haircut.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. I like giving Obama a haircut in that game. It's fun and it's cool, and especially I think the funnest thing is to talk about Frog Fractions in front of people that don't know what Frog Fractions is, because that's kind of what the game is meant for, I think, in the first place. It's just to have some absurd conversation where everyone's just like, "What on earth are you talking about?" And I don't know. I've had a good couple reactions from the game, but Frog Fractions 2, I really liked it in spite of it being a Frog Fractions game, because the game that they actually built, that the whole thing was around, because it was the most like outlandish, because Frog Fractions 1 was so ridiculous, and they wanted to make the next one in the series something completely different. So they made it. It's a giant 8-hour long adventure game with ASCII arts. It's just all like, letters from, I think it's a 1966 IBM computer. It's some early model of IBM. They used their
in game.
Yeah, that's the ASCII font that they were using. I forgot what the exact font was. Let me see.
Oh no, it's just like standard ASCII characters. So just ASCII is the same as like that standard that I was mentioning. It was defined by IBM in the 80s.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, there was an IBM model that first had this font, which they're using, which is used for all ASCII games.
I still don't think you're understanding, but okay.
Oh no, say it again then. I want to understand.
It's independent of the font. It is just the character codes that is used to refer to each different character.
Oh,
so
okay,
like
gotcha.
I think like lowercase numbers or lowercase letters start at like 36. So A is 36, 37 is B, and so
Gotcha.
on. And so it's 255 different characters.
Okay, interesting.
It's just like kind of a standard.
Yeah. Anyways,
so kind of Dwarf Fortress looking
yes,
game.
very much so. But it was just interesting. I don't know. I really, really liked it. They did such cool things with it. Like the whole game was essentially built to be this very arduous looking adventure game that, it looks terrible and it feels at first like it plays terrible and it looks like it's incredibly hard to complete. And that was kind of the cool thing for it, was that it was incredibly hard to complete. I believe it took the whole community about a week to beat this game when it first came out, because some of the puzzles are just ridiculous. What it does is the game is kind of sectioned into like, to begin the game, it starts in a fairy world, and you have to complete the fairy world. And at first, it took about a week before anybody realized the game was in there, because this fairy game that came out, I'm going to ruin it a little bit for people, but I don't care anymore. The game that came out was... Actually, no, I'm not even going to say the name of the game because it's more fun.
So from what I understand is because he had done a Kickstarter campaign to get the game funded, and I think from what I heard, he went ahead and just told everyone what game it was anyway.
He did after the fact. So what happened was the ARG was all leading up, and he promised that there was going to be a good payoff at the end of the ARG. Which is essentially, by the way, the ARG, he would go to a lot of gaming conventions and actually ask different developers to have different parts of this ARG in the game. Like just recently, Jacob, I think you played Firewatch. Part of the Frog Fractions 2 ARG is within Firewatch. They talked to the developers and they actually added a Frog Fractions logo in the game. And had
there was 20 different games, I think, in total.
Yeah, they had to find all of this stuff, and then there was like these weird videos of like him and his friends like with soup cans that they'd made. There was just this weird stuff, but it was a very complex puzzle, or at least a very difficult to put together and understand puzzle that all led up to the end of it. And at the end of it, you got Frog Fractions 2. So he released the end of the ARG right when he finished the game. And what originally had happened was after they'd finished all the assets, they didn't want to launch immediately because I think they finished them like around Christmas time or something. And it was a bad time to launch. So what they did was they actually released the original game, Glittermitten Grove, which it's nested inside of. They released that on Steam under Adult Swim. So Adult Swim said they'd publish the games. They went with Adult Swim. So it just came out, and it was this weird fairy game, and it was actually cute, and it was a full game. But they patched in Frog Fractions afterwards into the game. So
okay, interesting. I thought it was released with Frog Fractions 3.
No, that was the weird thing that kind of freaked everyone out. So they released this last part of the ARG, which essentially said like, it's out. That was the only hint that people were given. And so then there was this massive search for people looking for any games that had released over that time, which eventually led people to start thinking, well, what if it was patched into something? So they started looking for patches for different games. And apparently the patch notes for Glittermitten Grove for that weekend had said something like, there's a large fraction of things added to it. It was something like that. It was a very
ridiculous,
yeah, super cryptic, kind of like if you squint at it, maybe that's a hint. But they finally found it afterwards. But even after, so anyways, they found Frog Fractions 2 inside of there, and then it took the community about a week afterwards to complete this thing because some of the puzzles are just ridiculous, and also my favorite thing in the world. So I played through it with you, and we got through most of the game essentially scot-free. It's a large text game where, there's a part of it where you have to find a sword, then you have to fight gorillas, and you have to fight lions. And all through this thing, you're finding little mini games that release new parts of the game. So at one part, like we were talking about, you have to like shave Obama's face. And by the way, I'm only saying this because it just released. I will not talk about Frog Fractions 3 this way because I think I'm starting to really like this community. But
so a quick comment about the mini games.
Yes.
I honestly think they're the best, but also the worst part about it. Because
what?
Because you had to play the mini games to get certain items in the game, but you were never required to play more than like 3 minutes of any of the mini games to get the item. And I really wish that they had made you spend more time on these mini games because they were all fleshed out, they were all fully playable, and they all had way more content in them than you were required to play.
Yeah.
So I find that kind of disappointing that they spent all that work, but there's no no motivation at all to play any of them past when you get the item.
Yeah, that was a huge bummer. Especially with there's a certain minigame in there that has a what's it called? A new game plus mode in it. But the new game plus mode is actually another minigame, even though it's under the same name. It's called, this game New Game Plus. But it's still just an extra thing you have to find, which I found really, really confusing and frustrating. By the way, I found out we didn't actually finish all of the puzzles in that game. So at one section of the game, in the very beginning, it asks you to upload a Mass Effect 2 data save to the game. So what you have to do is you actually have to go into your files on your computer, find a Mass Effect 2 data file, which hopefully you have, like a game save from it, and then add that into the game. And when you do that, there's an NPC that shows up that says, "Oh, Commander Shepard, I'm so glad you're back." And then it starts referencing a whole bunch of people in the game. It's this really long text about like going to the, one of your members going to a donut shop and getting you donuts. But the story ends badly, the first time you read it, and it's because there's certain members that are harassing you and doing it terribly. So apparently what you have to do, I found this out afterwards, is you have, and this is the part of the game that's ridiculous and the reason it took people so long, you have to have a Mass Effect 2 save data with particular characters dead in the plot line so that,
oh my gosh.
so that you can see that this guy will say the correct dialogue and you will successfully get your donut from the donut shop. And it's ridiculous.
But that's I didn't realize that. I thought it could just be any Mass Effect 2 save.
That's what I thought too, but I uploaded the wrong one and there we go. But anyways, so there was some puzzles like that I wasn't a huge fan of, but are very funny. Like that's a pretty enjoyable thing to add in there. They had some that were they're incredibly arduous. My favorite one though is at the very end of this, and this is kind of what took people the longest, is at the end you have a frog that you can talk to, but he doesn't speak English. He speaks his own ASCII language. And every single character you've seen throughout the game has a specific meaning. And you have to learn what those meanings are. And sometimes they're easy. Sometimes one just means fish, and you can kind of pick it up fairly simply. But other ones are abstract ideas like want or give or like, or there's just all these strange ideas, and you have to know what they mean. So it took about a week to actually have players translate this into a good enough way to where you could ask the correct questions and then hopefully get this frog to do what you need him to do to advance in the game. And so it's just, I don't know, man. I really appreciated the effort that was into this. And it's games like this that just, I don't know, I like the communities that build up around these things. And it was really cool to see the community working together to solve this stuff.